Hello, everybody. I am D. Lisa West. I'm a dream doula and a life coach, and this is.
I'm Christina Spataro. I'm a psychotherapist and relationship coach.
And today we're going to talk about increasing your sense of deserving.
Mm.
Because when I'm working with my coaching clients, often they have big dreams,
Mhm.
but between where they are now and where they would love to be, those big
Mhm.
dreams seem impossible
Mm.
because they can't see themselves in it. They don't believe it. They don't think they deserve it. And they don't even know that they're doing that to themselves. I think most people are just living their lives on default, doing what they learned in their childhood or what they might have learned in the last class, but really there's a little switch that needs to be switched inside of our mental imagery of who we are.
Oh, I love that. And I think that is so beautifully put because, like you said, who we are now is a combination of what we experienced in our childhood, adolescence, you name it, the messages we were told, and then what we witnessed. So all of that combines to make us doubt ourselves, to make us wonder, are we worthy? Do we need it? And I'm not saying everybody feels that way, but I definitely have worked with a lot of clients who do come in that place. And I love the way it is a switch. It is a switch because somewhere along the line, you got messaging that made you feel this way, and now we got to switch that off and turn on something else.
Yeah, just like we talked about in a previous episode about
Mhm,
creativity,
mhm,
somebody told you you couldn't make that apple
mhm,
magenta or purple or whatever color
mhm,
you were coloring. Someone told you your nose was too big, your butt was too
mhm,
big. Now it's
mhm,
good to have a big butt, but when I grew up, you weren't supposed to have a big butt. You were supposed to be stick skinny. So everyone who didn't
mhm.
have the stick skinny body was considered wrong. Your body's
Yeah.
wrong. If you're living in your body and it's healthy, your body's
Mhm.
just right.
I love that.
And,
Absolutely.
and if you're creative and you're making something and you're having fun, whatever you're making is just right. So how can we
Mhm.
shift our thinking about that, Christina? How do you help your people when they'd really love to be a little bit more than who they are today? How do you help
Mm.
them do that?
Part of how I help them do that is recognizing that the messaging they got was faulty. It
Hmm.
was a faulty message. I mean, you were young, you were vulnerable or both. So it got stuck in there, but that doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean that the people or the person that made you feel that way was right in what they did. Not at all.
Right. Well, sometimes people have what I call unskillful behavior.
Mhm.
They don't necessarily mean to be cruel or
Mm,
to crush your spirit, but
right.
something they said kind of did that to you. And
Yes.
I've often in my recent years, say
Mhm.
the last 20 years of my life,
Mhm.
I have checked in with people after they said something that really kind of sprung me the wrong way.
Mhm.
And I've said to them, when you said this, I felt this way.
Mm.
And they're usually so surprised. They didn't
Mhm.
mean it to mean what it
Mhm.
meant for me inside of my mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
We make things mean stuff that wasn't meant. The
Yes.
sender of that message didn't mean it to be what we meant it to be.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think that's so well put because a lot of times people will say things thoughtlessly and it's not necessarily malicious. Now, are there people who are malicious? Yes, I will acknowledge there are people that have that streak, but I really feel the majority of the time people don't intend and they don't realize the impact what they say, how it touches that person. They don't realize it, whether it was a thoughtless comment or whether it was, thought they were being funny, you name it. They had no idea the impact they were going to have by their words. I'm a writer and I'm a therapist, and I believe in the power of words. I've always believed in the power of words. They can either help or heal or hurt, help, heal, or hurt. And I think people do use words very carelessly, especially when you look at social media and now you have the anonymity of the internet and people go off on these things. I just read any comment section and you see something quickly devolve into this terrible exchange, except on Mr. Rogers' videos. Those people are happy. It's like,
Okay, hold
yeah,
on. I got to just tell you what flipped into my brain. The title of your next book should be H to the Third Power. Does it help, heal, or hurt? The power of your words, something like that.
okay,
Write
I
that
love
down.
that. Yes, I gotta write that down. Okay, so you heard this here first. When you see a book, H to the Third Power, the power to help, heal, or hurt. I love it. Thank you.
I think it's so powerful because, well, most of us don't realize that words have power. We just use words. And when I was a young woman, I wasn't that young, but I was younger than I am now. I was married to a guy who loved sarcasm.
Ah.
And I thought he was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he said things like, "I'm Nat joking," and he spelled it like the little tiny fly,
Mm-hmm.
GNAT. I'm Nat joking. Um, but almost everything he used sarcasm for was really to insult people and to say cruel things. And later I heard a beautiful comment that was like, "Oh, that is kidding on the square," meaning you're
Ooh.
kidding, but you're serious. Like the joke you're saying is your true feelings and it's not a joke.
Yes. I love that you said that because so many times in my life, people have said like biting things like, ow. But then they say, oh, I'm just kidding. And somehow that erases, like, okay, you wounded me, but because you're just kidding, I'm supposed to be okay with it. So, yes, 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 yes. Now, I have a very good sense of humor. I'm from New York, so I definitely appreciate good sarcasm. But there is a difference between being funny and finding the humor and life and using the expression "I'm kidding" to say things that you don't want to actually take responsibility for, but you want to say.
Yeah, I've done it. I'm embarrassed to say, before I really thought about the words. At a certain point, I did a course with a woman who was all about the words you say.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Mm-hmm.
had a list of things. Her most prominent idea was you should on yourself. Don't should on yourself. And
Like
and
it.
we're like, what? I should do this, I should do that, I should do whatever you're saying that about. You really don't want to. You feel pressured to. And
Mm-hmm.
so why say that to yourself? I choose to do it is a more powerful
Mm-hmm.
way to talk. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do that is a more powerful way. I should do it. Wah, wah, wah. But
Mm-hmm.
also everything you say to a child, everything you say to a beloved, choosing your words so carefully to think that you're going to either help them or maybe you're going to wound them.
Mm-hmm.
So back to how we can increase our sense of deserving,
Mm-hmm.
it might be one of the most difficult things to do, and that is to notice the words that you're saying to yourself.
Yes. I'm reminded when we did another talk and you were talking about this woman and how you would hear her, narration to herself throughout the day, where she would say really mean stuff to herself.
Yep.
like very degrading things to ourselves. So yes, I think it is very important we kind
Yes,
of
things
tap
like
in.
she would say things like, "Oh, my," she'd say herself, her name out loud. "That's stupid. You're so stupid. That's dumb.
Mhm.
Can't believe you did that." And I think a lot of times that is the conversation we're having inside of our head. Maybe
Yeah.
we are like, "Oh, I forgot that again. That's just like you
Yeah.
to forget that. That's the stupidest thing I've ever said. I can't believe I'm doing this dumb thing." Why not talk to yourself like you would talk to a beloved child? That's
Mhm.
amazing, honey. You're doing such a great job. If we talk to ourselves like that, would that change our sense of deserving?
Yeah. That's a very, very good point. If we talk to ourselves like that and we valued ourselves as we would value a beloved child, then yes, absolutely. Would we then see ourselves differently? Would we then have an entirely different internal monologue that instead of tearing ourselves down, we're lifting ourselves up?
Right. So imagine saying, "I'm so amazing.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so incredible." Or this, especially in a relationship, how about this? "He's so lucky to have me."
I love it. I love it. That would definitely put an end to a lot of toxic relationships where the person feels like they have to be desperate to hold on to this person. Why aren't they lucky to have you?
So lucky. Like,
Yes.
yeah. In
Like,
fact,
yeah.
what if both people thought that? "I'm so
Yes.
lucky to have you." In fact, I just saw a post on social media that two artists that I love. I love them and they're fantastic artists. And she said, 19 years ago, I met you. And she explained where they were. They were at this gallery event. And he's pretty famous, and so is she now.
Oh.
And she said she looked at him and she thought, "Oh, he's handsome." And he
Mm.
looked at her and he thought, "Are these pants stupid?" And they've been together ever since. But
Aw.
the moment that they met, there was just this like click. And
Mhm.
I don't think either of them were 100% like, "Oh, she'd be so glad, she'd be so lucky to have me." But
Mhm.
I think they both now feel like they are so lucky to have each other,
Aw.
and they respect each other's work and they love spending time with each other. And what a beautiful blessing it is to watch them have this
Mhm.
relationship where they're supporting each other unconditionally. And of
Mhm.
course, I'm not home alone with them to see if they have disagreements or arguments, but they seem pretty darn happy.
Lovely.
And they seem like they both have really good
Mhm.
self-esteem.
Mhm.
Self-esteem, maybe it comes down to that.
I think that definitely plays a factor because if you have healthy self-esteem, then I would think the messages you tell yourself are ones of value, that you recognize who you are as a person, you recognize where your strengths are. Doesn't mean you see yourself as perfect. Again, I say healthy self esteem because then you
Mhm.
have people that are really arrogant and narcissistic. And that's like the unhealthy side where it's like an over. And ironically, people who are severely narcissistic actually have very fragile egos and actually don't think well about themselves.
Yeah.
That's why they need the constant adulation because they're looking for the outside validation to feel good because deep down they actually feel quite terrible.
And this is a great visual for me since I'm a visual artist.
Mhm.
I took a virtues parenting class once
Ooh,
and there's something in Canada, started in Canada, called the Virtues Project. But
okay.
basically, one of the virtues is self-esteem. And the teacher teaching this class used to be a high school teacher, and she said when she taught it to high school students, one of the students misheard her and said self of steam. And he visualized like he had a balloon inside of him that was
Mhm.
puffed up. And isn't that a great visualization? Like, my
That's a great
self-esteem is
visualization.
like this balloon filling up the inside of me.
I I love that. And also you can use the other way too. You can get someplace on your own steam. You have the self-esteem to propel you forward.
Yeah.
I love that. And when you deflate yourself, if you don't have this balloon inside you, if you don't have this steam pushing you forward, then you actually hold yourself back.
Yeah.
I like that. That is one of those things where the mishearing of the word is actually a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, and that's so many years ago, it's still stuck in my head because it's such a great visual, like a balloon inside of himself, just filled
I
up.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That is a great visual.
So I've got some affirmations on my wall. I will read
Mhm.
them so people can use these if they like them.
Mhm.
And I start them all off with what if, because I've found, and I learned this from Marie Manucherry, I
Mhm.
learned that if you say an affirmation that you don't quite believe, it might take 20 years for it to start working. If
Mm.
you say what if in front of it, then your brain goes to work and like, what if? Yeah. And
Oh, I
kind of
like
figures
that.
out a way to make that work. So here they go. What if I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be? What
Mm.
if everything is easy?
Ooh.
What if I'm comfortable and safe? What if I'm completely loved and lovable? What if I'm shining my magnificence? So any of those affirmations, I think, would be really helpful to have better self-esteem
Yes.
and to help you raise your sense of deserving.
Yes, I agree. I agree. You and I both are on a mission to help our clients raise their self-esteem so
Right
that they
on,
can fly wherever they want to.
right on. Well, thanks for the chat today, Christina. It was lovely.
The same here. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon.